This is Lorna Tedder, the OG of innovative contracting, with an acquisition devotional. Click subscribe for more of this playlist, or if you prefer the written word, you can follow me on LinkedIn. My commentary doesn't represent anyone else, including the government or an employer. My opinions are my own, and yep, I'm pretty opinionated. I'm a renegade who's been around a while, seen a lot, done a lot, and I'm willing to share my insights because sooner or later, I'll pass this torch to a new generation of renegades. Looking at risk like it affects you, what do you usually think of when you hear the word risk related to government contracting? Sometimes, without realizing it, we get really stuck in how we view risk, either because of what we were taught years ago or the type of work we usually see or what our job is. While we were deciding whether to evacuate for Hurricane Idalia, how people think of risk became very clear, not just in terms of the evacuation, but in how we view after effects and how that relates to the acquisition life. Every hurricane, like every government contract, is different, so the risk is different. The track, the angle of the winds, the rain, the intensity are all different factors that contribute to the overall risk. I have a sixth sense about hurricanes and whether to run or ride it out, and it's based on 30 plus years of running or staying, figuring out if the roads are too crowded to flee and to where, and thinking ahead to the aftermath. I hope this gut instinct stays as effective as it has been, but this year we had a different concern than in past years, and that was brand new risk. But how risky and what the risk was depended on who I spoke with, which is where conversations got interesting. My gut instinct told me we'd have some effects here, but I was high enough inland not to worry too much about flooding. The angle of the winds on the trees in my yard would be away from my house. The intensity wouldn't be as great turning into Tampa as hauling buggy across the super hot Gulf waters to become a Cat 4 or 5 in the Panhandle or Big Bend of Florida. My evacuation, if needed, would be to my daughter's safer home around the corner. Almost every risk I could mitigate. Almost. Honestly, I told some acquisition and contracting friends after I'd worked through my mitigation plan, I'm most worried about losing power for more than a few hours. I have $3,000 worth of diabetic medication in the fridge. Here's where it was really funny to hear these particular friends weigh in based on their view of risk. The consensus? Stop worrying. Your insurance should cover the loss. It took me a while to close my jaw. Many diabetic medications need refrigeration, not including insulin. My contracting friends were all focused on the losing money part of the risk, not the speediness of replacement or you might die part of the risk. They didn't even think in those terms. My friends in healthcare, on the other hand, immediately viewed the risk differently. We're like that when it comes to risk in government contracts. It's so easy to think of it in terms of cost overruns, claims, fraud, and defective pricing, while our program managers are probably thinking more about risk in terms of technical feasibility or funding availability or whether that technical proposal was more than great marketing. We all sometimes forget to think of risk also as technical obsolescence or having that solution when we need it and ahead of our adversaries. That's not to say that you should think of risk only in terms of obsolescence, stagnation, or timeliness. You need to weigh all the risks to figure out where you are on the risk spectrum and the most effective way to both address the risk and get what you need. I really like the way FAR Part 39.102 puts it in regard to acquisition of information technology. Types of risk may include schedule risk, risk of technical obsolescence, cost risk, risk implicit in a particular contract type, technical feasibility, dependencies between a new project and other projects or systems, the number of simultaneous high-risk projects to be monitored, funding availability, and program management risk. So how do you usually think about risk, and how might you think about risk now? I'm Lorna Tedder, and thanks for joining me for an acquisition devotional.